that we're always being recorded. You know that, right? Meaning people, like, you're walking down the street, there are cameras, security cameras. We actually are always being recorded, right? And in fact, I was just telling Darby this morning that the Chafetz Chaim, the Mishnah Berurah, right, Rabbi Yisrael Meir Cohen Kagan, when he learned about the telephone, he was very into trying to get people to not speak Lashon Hara, right? So when he heard about the telephone, he was thrilled, like when the telephone was created during his lifetime, and he was or became popular, and he said, this proves that what you say over here could be heard over there, and that's what I've always been trying to say, that you think you're just speaking, right? So think about what he would say. He died in 1933. Think about what he would say about all of the recordings that go on all the time, all the cameras on us all the time, all the times that we've been recorded without realizing it, right? And think about what he would say about that. What do you think he would say? Like exactly, Shiviti Hashem l'negdi tamid, right? Meaning you think it's not only that. It's something in Pirkei Avot, right? Da malamala mimcha, right? What does it say? Da malamala mimcha, ayin ro'ah, ve'ozen shomat, v'chol ma'asecha b'sefer nichtavim, right? Know what's above you. Eye that sees, an ear that hears, and all your deeds are being written down. Everything you do is being written down in a book, right? Mm-hmm. So that was like something that was hard to relate to, I guess, right? But now, like, people could replay us walking down the road. You know what I'm saying? It's so scary. I actually, like, it totally terrifies me, actually. When it comes to, think about how when you walk around, your phone's GPS is tracking where you are. Meaning, like, there are just many ways in which we are actually being watched in our own, or choosing to watch ourselves or whatever you want to call it, right? In terms of our, and it's great, like Waze can tell you where you parked, so that's great because like maybe I forgot where I parked, right? But it really, I think Chafetz Chaim would be thrilled, right? Because he would say, look, that's exactly what I'm saying, right? That Hashem is watching us and Hashem is always with us. So it's like that's going to obviously have an impact on our behavior. Okay, anyway, so I'm so happy to be back to Pirkei Avot together. We had just learned Perek Aleph, Perek Vav, which was about Aseh Lecha Rav and Knei Lecha Chaver and Dan Adam Lekaf Zechut. We had a really interesting discussion about that. Remind me, did we already learn the Nitai Ha'arbeli about Harchek Mishachen Ra? No. I don't think so. Okay, I didn't think so either. It's actually very interesting to think of Vav and Zayin as going together, right? You have Yoshua ben Prachia and Nitai Ha'arbeli, right? Remember the Nasi and the Av Beitim. So Yoshua ben Prachia had said, make yourself a teacher and acquire for yourself a friend and judge everybody favorably. Okay, who wants to read Zayin now? Go ahead, Gavi. Do you want to share for now? Yeah. Okay. So what does this mean? Distance yourself from a bad neighbor. Yeah. Distance yourself from a bad neighbor. Al titchaber larasha. Don't be a bad person. Right. Don't connect with a bad person. But al tityaesh min hapuranut. Now, what is Yeush?
To give up, like despair.
Give up. Excellent. Give up, right? So, and what's Puranut?
Like hardships?
Hardships, bad things happening, okay? Or maybe punishment. So, this is interesting. So, first of all, let's talk about the first two things he says. In light of the previous Mishnah, what's interesting about that? What did Yoshua ben Prachia just say?
Like, judge everyone favorably.
Yeah, judge everyone favorably. Make yourself a chaver, right? So if he had not said anything about judging people favorably, right, then I feel like it would be perfect, right? He said, Knei lecha chaver, and now Nitai Ha'arbeli is telling you what kind of chaver to have, right? But after saying Dan Lekaf Zechut, now you're telling me Harchek Mishachen Ra. That's kind of interesting, right? Am I supposed to look at everybody as good or not? Yeah.
Well, I think it's saying find a middle ground. Like
okay.
We were saying last time, then it said, like when you were talking about that, like Dan Lekaf Zechut.
Yes.
Like you were saying, but not to a point where you're like really naive and like
right.
you could put yourself in danger. So I think that it's like this is kind of putting that thought into words and just saying like make sure you have this like a safe balance though.
100%. I totally hear that. Yeah, Naomi, what do you want to say?
I think there's also like a big difference between the two because like like super active, like go whatever that means, like go buy yourself, purchase yourself a friend. And this is like and like when you think about the word shachen, like a neighbor, you don't really have a choice who your neighbors are in a lot of cases. And like in this case, like you might not have a choice with like necessarily like, who lives next to you, but like it's your job to kind of like live your life in a way where like you're not like completely changing your life, because like you can't necessarily like move away from your neighbors if you don't like that.
Right.
You have to like find a way to live your life in a way where you're not engaging with the people who are literally right next to you, living right next to you.
That is such an interesting point, that sometimes the neighbors are not people you chose, so you have to create distance where there wouldn't have naturally been distance. Very interesting point. Gabriella, what do you think?
Saying the same thing as the pasuk with or the Rosh, like
Yes.
the same concepts of like if you're with bad people around you, even if you're not a bad person, like you will end up being a bad person.
100%. And by the way, this is so interesting because first of all, I agree with Gavi's distinction that that down the zchut, the flip side of that is don't be foolish, right? And that this is the natural progression of that. I totally agree. And I think that your points about the shachein ra and being mitchaber l'rasha are so important. There's actually, it's interesting to read this. This is written, time of Pirkei. This is before even the time of the Tanaim, right? This is very, very old. And if you look in the Rambam in Hilchot Deot, I don't have a Rambam here, but there's this amazing Rambam in Hilchot Deot and the Rambam died in 1204, okay? So also a really long time ago. And he says it so amazingly. He says, people by nature do what the people around them are doing. And so therefore, we have to surround ourselves with good people, because then we'll do like them. And if we surround ourselves with bad people, we'll do like them, right? And so it's like, in Pirkei Avot, in the Rambam, and like every sikha that you had in high school, right, about peer pressure, and right, meaning it's like everyone knows that this was true, and it's still true, and it's true however old you are, that we need to surround ourselves with the right kind of people that we want to be like, because we are going to be like the people around us, and that's why we need to make sure that the people that we surround ourselves with, right, are that kind of people that we would like to be. Yeah.
Also, like, in the opposite way that Naomi was saying it, how like if a bad neighbor person like choosing to move near you, like stay.
Right.
But kind of like if you're choosing to buy a property where like a bad person may be, like aside from like thinking only about the conditions of like, oh, is the house, like, is it a big enough property? Yes. Is it a big enough whatever? Like you have to like look around the community around it and like the people like next door and like see if like that's also like the type of life that you like want to live. So that point is your choice as opposed to.
Excellent. When you're choosing where to live, think about the neighbors. Actually, we have an indication of that in this week's parsha. What happens?
Right, Lot.
Yes, excellent. What happens?
He moves to stone because he thinks it's like fertile land, so like that's like it's attractive to him, but then he doesn't like he's not conscious of the fact that there are like evil people there.
Great.
And, like it says right after he moves, like there's
Yes.
there. Right.
Yes.
I'm actually just thinking about that.
Exactly. Beautiful. In Pirkei Gimel, in Breshit Pirkei Gimel, it says that Lot sees the whole Kikar Yarden, Kikula Mashke, right? It's beautiful. It's so fertile, right? Lot chooses it. Vayisalot mikedem, vayipradu ish me'alachiv. And then it says again, and Avraham was in Eretz Canaan, and Lot was in the Zarei Kikar, vayahad Sodom. And then, after saying that he moved there, after saying twice that he moved there, right? It says in Pasuk Gimel, "Va'anshei Sodom ra'im v'chataim laHashem me'od." These people were so bad, right? And I think that the Torah is actually on purpose, waiting to tell us that the people of Sodom were bad until after Lot moved there, right? Why? What's it trying to highlight? Yeah, what?
So he made a bad decision. He chose to move to a place where they were surrounded by bad people instead of being surrounded by Abraham.
Exactly. And what were his criteria? Only how the land looked. Meaning, it's not that he investigated the people, made sure it was a good place for him spiritually. He only looked to see it was a good place for him physically, and then he went there. And and then the Torah says, very big condemnation, obviously, of Lot. And it's interesting. Like when I moved to Neve Daniel, we chose that place to be next door to the people that we're next door to. Meaning the family that lives right next door to us is my Israeli chavruta from when I was at Lindenbaum for the year. I mentioned this to a few people already, which is super adorable. We stayed in touch for the 14 years in between when I was a student at Lindenbaum and when I made Aliyah with my family. When we got to Neve Daniel, we got to Israel, we were looking for community. Neve Daniel was like, the building, and we came for Shabbat. And the plot of land next door to the Brahma family was that they had bought that plot of land, and they were going to build on it, and that one became available suddenly while we were here, like Mina Shamayim. We actually we went to look at it. It was really, it sounds like a fairy tale. But I don't really like fairy tales, but this actually happened. That, we were standing on this ridge, whatever, where the plot of land was. And we were I don't know, looking up at the stars like Abraham did. You know what I'm saying? And we were okay, we'll take it, and we bought our piece of Eretz Yisrael, there. But we chose it because it was right next door to them, and the truth is they're tzaddikim and and tzaddikim moved in later on the other side. And so I have a lot of good role models, you know what I'm saying? It helps you be the kind of person that you would like to be, and so I think that sometimes you can choose them and sometimes you can't choose them, obviously, right? But in terms of searching for the right place to be, I think this is a really important thing to think about. Yeah.
Also, just in terms of it's being very general here, just saying Rosh, there's different definitions of what a Rosh could be, and there's different types of things that we could define as bad, and there's things that are bad for some people and things that are bad for other people. So it's right. You have to define for yourself what's a Rosh for you.
That's interesting. Okay, the truth is that there are, meaning I guess we would probably say that there are three categories, right? There's the category of things that are clearly evil, let's say Sodom was Ra'im v'chata'im Hashem me'od, I don't know, dragging guests out of people's homes and doing terrible things to them is definitely out, right? And then there are things that are clearly very good, but then you're right, Alex, there are sometimes things that are good for you or things that will bring out the best in you, right? That may be different for different people. So what do you think though, what do you think practically he means? Let's say like Naomi described, you don't always choose your neighbors. What does it mean to be harchek mishachen ra? You live next door to them. What could you do?
Yeah.
What did you say? Don't what?
Keep your distance.
Keep your distance. Okay.
Even if you can't physically distance yourself, you can still separate what you do from what they do, and
Okay. Well, you don't have to be best friends. You don't have to do what they're doing. Yeah.
Acknowledge that what they're doing is not what you want to be doing.
Right. Maybe you even have to name it to yourself, right? That this is, meaning we will often find ourselves in situations, in groups, I don't know, meaning it could happen at a dinner table where there's a conversation going on that we're not comfortable with, right? And we have to think about what do we do, right? Sometimes we're in a surroundings for a weekend or for a week or for 2 weeks or for a year or for more, I don't know, right? Whatever, where we have to, you know what I'm saying? Meaning there are these different experiences where we have to decide what are we going to do when there's stuff going on that we don't want to be a part of, right? Someone else wanted to add something? No? Okay. So, Beseder. Now, what about this Al Tityesh min hapuranut? What is that talking about? What's that talking about? How does Rav Sachs explain it? Do not despair of divine retribution. What does that mean? Yeah?
It kind of reminds me of everything happens for a reason.
Okay. So, meaning...
Something where it sounds a little bit like if something bad were to happen, don't think that's kind of the end of all.
So what you're saying is, and this is I think one interpretation, is that don't despair if you experience divine retribution, right? Don't despair from that. Recognize that then maybe that's a punishment, but then you're going to be able to move on from it, right? Meaning if one experiences it, him or herself. What else could it mean? Yeah, what did you think, Mamie?
Maybe it's when it says divine retribution, it's really interesting because is it referring to the next world? If you're doing badly in this world, then don't worry because the next world you'll be better.
Okay.
I don't know how I feel about that. I'm actually reading a book about something similar.
Okay.
In the sense of when he says divine retribution, is that what he's referring to? When you're experiencing bad things in this world?
So the truth is that the way that Rabbi Sachs takes it, and the way that I think actually is meaning the way that I think is supported by the previous part of the Mishnah is not really talking about when you experience something bad. Yeah.
I was gonna say I think it has to do with the fact that we don't really notice it when it happens to ourselves, but when you hear really sad, if you know someone who's actually a really good person and something really bad happens to them, or the opposite of a really bad person and they succeed in something, you ask the question of why do bad things happen to good people and why do good things happen to bad people?
Yoav.
And that's
Yeah,
and
right,
that's,
yes.
And that's when despair comes, because usually when it happens to yourself, like you know how to deal with it in your own ways. But if you're looking at it from like an outside perspective, then like you're like, why is that happening to this person?
Uh-huh.
And like that's when like your belief in God, like that's when sometimes that's challenged, because like you don't really understand
Totally.
how God like is just.
That's really interesting. So you're saying, don't be upset when you see something that appears like a punishment to somebody. Like, recognize that you don't understand everything that's going on. That's what you're trying to say, right? Okay, interesting. Yeah.
I agree. I was just kind of
Yeah, elaborate.
yeah. Like, I was like, reading, like it says like here, like the
in
how
the
they
commentary.
explain divine intuition, and I think it's you always want to like you always ask the question, like I know I always ask the question, and, like you never really get an answer, like why do good things happen to bad people, or bad things happen to good people.
For sure.
But he's saying like, I feel like he's kind of saying two things. One is that like, first of all, you don't know that like, yeah, maybe he's like really successful, but maybe he's living a really unhappy life. Like, you don't really know everything, and like I think that kind of goes with like like to God.
Right.
Kind of.
That's really interesting. Nice.
And I also like even in, I think like this is kind of my interpretation. He doesn't really say this, that like even if he is really happy or he is really sad, like whatever, this really good person, and like he just keeps encountering tragedies, and whenever he's really like sad, like I think he's just saying like trust that God is doing what's right, even if like we can't understand it.
Right. I think that is what's going on, especially in the context of our Rasha. Because what's it trying to say? Like, stay away from a bad person, right? Stay away. Don't connect yourself with a Rasha, right? Why would you be tempted to connect with a Rasha? Because things are going so well for him, right? Like he's winning, he's doing the fun stuff, he's doing the, he's on, he's at the top of his game. So Itai Bailey is saying, don't think that there won't be retribution in the end. Don't despair. Where's the retribution? Why are good things happening to this bad person? Remember that Hashem has his plan, right? And what the retribution will come for the Rasha. I'm saying in the context of two mentions of the Shachain Ra and the Rasha, right? It's trying to say who's the Puranu going to happen to? Ultimately, the bad person. Yeah, Alex, what do you want to say?
I think the fact that he defines it as divine retribution as opposed to as punishment is to like remind you that that like you still have to like see like the positive spin, and although it seems like like this good person might be getting punished, or like bad things are happening like to good people and like good things are happening to bad people, it's to remind you that it's not necessarily like the way it seems, and it's just like that like really like we don't understand like godly intervention, and we don't have the big picture or the full story. And
right. I think you're right. And I think, by the way, the word Yeush, and that goes back to, everyone has raised here, the big question of theodicy, which is bad things happening to good people and good things happening to bad people, is obviously a question that we all encounter, throughout our lives. And I think the word Yeush is a really important word here. Because as we said, Yeush means to give up, right? And isn't it true that sometimes when, we hear about something so terrible that happened to a good person, let's say, it's just this feeling of like a feeling of yeush, a feeling of there's no justice in the world, And I think that the use of that term is trying to tell you, there will be, ultimately there is, Hashem is just, and there is justice in the world. Is it in this world? Is it in the next world? Are things as they seem? Are things not as they seem? All the different answers that Chazal give to this issue, which, ultimately, there is, I don't think that our minds can really grasp any answer, but the different ways that we look at it, I think that the use of the word lo lihityaesh, I think is a very, very, very significant, and I think there are times in everybody's life that they feel that sense of yeush from this issue, and Nitar Bailey is saying, Al tityaesh, it's going to be okay, right? Meaning it's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be okay is the right way to say it, but it's going to be, Hashem has his plan. Okay, so that is the pair, right, of the look for a good friend, right, and stay away from a bad friend, okay, and what kind of people we surround ourselves with. Going on to Mishnayot Chet and Tet, we're going to meet Yehuda ben Tabai and Shimon ben Shetach, okay? So let's read what they say, and then, yes, please.
You said something about the Nasi and...
Yes, the Nasi. Okay, for sure. So in these, right now we're in the section of Pirkei Avot where it's talking about the zugot. Okay, we call them the zugot. They're like before the period of the Tanaim, and we call them the zugot. Zugot just means pair, right? Pairs. And in the pair, the first person mentioned is the Nasi, and the second person mentioned is the Av Beit Din. Okay, the Av Beit Din was like the second in command of the Sanhedrin. Okay, so the Nasi is the head of the Sanhedrin. There's a term for the person who's called Nasi. What's his honorific? Anybody know? It's not Rav and it's not Rabbi. It's, anyone know? Rabban. Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai. Rabban Gamliel. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. That means that person was the Nasi of the Sanhedrin. Okay? It's actually kind of similar, right? So does anyone know what Sfaradim call the Shulchan Aruch? A lot of Sfaradim call the Shulchan Aruch Maran. Maran Abeit Yosef. Our rabbi. Okay? And if you read, like, I don't know, Sephardi Tshuvas, let's say, Rabbi Vadi Yosef, will write Maran Abeit Yosef, referring to Rabbi Yosef Kar, the Shulchan Aruch, right? Our master, our teacher, Rabban, our rabbi, not just a rabbi, but the rabbi. Like if I say to you guys the Rav, what does that mean to you? Or salvation. So I just have to tell you a funny. So I have to tell you a funny story. Exactly. So I have to tell you a funny story. When I came to Lindenbaum as a student, so I took a lot of classes with the Israelis. I was very, very connected with them. I encourage you guys to do so too. And I really became really close friends with them, and as evidenced by moving next door later. Anyway, but the point is that I remember they were talking about harav, which means the Rav, And I was like, wow, I didn't know Rav Soloveitchik was so Kabbalistic. I didn't know Rav Soloveitchik said that stuff. Wow, until I realized that their harav was, as Sarah just said, Rav Kook. And I was like, it was actually part of, I think, one of the things that happens sometimes when you come to Israel for the year is like, you just gain perspective, like, not everyone has the same the Rav, right? Like, there's not one the Rav. Every community, every society, right, will have the Rav. Anyway, so Maran, right, our rabbi, okay, depends on where you are. Okay, anyway, so Yehuda ben Tabai, as being listed first, sounds like he's the Nasi, but we're going to get into that. The Gemara actually raises in a different place. Wait, was Yehuda ben Tabai the Nasi, or was Shimon ben Shetach the Nasi? And I'm going to tell you a story about that in a minute. But let's first read what they say. Okay, Yehuda ben Tabai and Shimon ben Shetach. Who else wants to read today? Anyone else? Okay, Sylvia, go for it. Okay. Baruch Hashem. You need to have someone to count on. Okay. Gavi also, very, very reliable reader. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yehuda ben Tabai ושמעון בן שטח דיברו מהם. יהודה בן טבעי אומר, אל תעש עצמך כאורחי הדיינים, וכשיהיו בעלי הדין עומדים לפניך יהיו בעיניך כרשעים, וכשנפטרים לפניך יהיו בעיניך כזכאים, כשיהיו עליהם.
Okay, so what does Yehuda ben Tabai say? He's referring to when sitting as a judge. Okay, don't be an orich din. You know what an orich din is? Lawyer? Actually, yeah, lawyer. That's a modern Hebrew word, right? You know from modern Hebrew, maybe? Yeah. So it's a lawyer, okay? It means like, an advocate in court for one side or the others. Don't be like a lawyer, taking a side, right? Meaning ask questions equally of both sides, right? And what else does he say? When the Baalei Din are the parties to a court case, okay? When they're standing in front of you, how should you look at them? Like they're Rishaim. Like they're both Rishaim, right?
Look at the judges?
No, the litigants. Okay, when the two litigants are standing in front of you, look at both of them as Rishaim. This is actually very interesting in light of the previous two Mishnayot, right? Dan l'gav zchut, harchet mishachen ra, right? Al t'chaber l'rasha. So what does it mean? They're both Rishaim. But but when they leave you, you should view them as innocent because they've accepted the judgment. Okay? So what is this trying to say? What does he mean that you should view them as evil? You should view them both as guilty, as both of them as guilty. Guilty till proven innocent. Yes, right. No, that's not what it's trying to say, right? By the way, clearly what Baalei Hadin sounds like we're talking about a civil case, not a criminal case. Okay? Meaning because in a criminal case, there's just one Baal Din. In a criminal case, the state or the Torah, right? The Sanhedrin is prosecuting somebody for whatever Avera they did, right? Okay? That's a criminal case in Halacha. But in a civil case, there are two Baalei Din. You dented my car, or you stole my thing, or you whatever, right? Meaning there are two parties to the, or you're going over the border of our property, or whatever it might be, okay? Different kinds of disputes, or let's take something from Bava Kama, what you guys are learning now. This person injured somebody else, God forbid, or embarrassed somebody else, right? Okay, like what you guys are learning. That's a case where there are two Baalei Din, okay? Well, one is claiming something against the other. So what would it mean if both of them are Rishaim? Yeah.
Like, be skeptical of both of them, like,
Excellent.
assume that they are, like, the ones who are wrong and trying to prove that they're right.
Excellent, excellent. Meaning, don't have a bias towards one side. You might have a bias towards the person who's suing. You might have a bias towards the person who's defending himself against the lawsuit, right? But no, you should view each of them as potentially not telling the truth, right? And
That's
ask.
kind of harsh.
Okay.
Why can't it be the reverse?
Because if you assume both of them are telling the truth, right?
And
So
it's
then-
Then you're being naive. Like,
Naive, and also,
People do that today, and it works.
Yeah.
Until proven guilty.
this is not talking about, the innocent until proven guilty is in the case of a crime, right?
Okay.
We're talking here about like it could be a case where somebody says, you dented my car, and he says, no, like that wasn't me, right? So it's, or you borrowed money from me and never paid it back. It'd be like, yes, I did. I remember I paid you back.
I understand being skeptic. It's just like the word was very.
Yeah, the Rishaim. It sounds very harsh. It's true. It's true. Yeah, you know what you think.
But if you view them as Rishaim, you're going to be very critical of every single thing, which is probably the ideal situation.
Exactly. I think it's trying to say the judges have to try to get to the truth. So to assume someone's telling the truth is like, there are no questions that come from that, right? You just say, I believe you. Great. You're wonderful, right? If you're trying to get to the bottom of something, if you're trying to understand that something is the truth, then you're going to figure out all the ways that it might not be true and say, well, are you sure you saw it that way? Are you sure it was that person? What was he wearing? What was she doing? What, you know what I mean? If you're just assuming it's true, then you don't ask anything, right? And I think that's what that's what they're trying to say. Ruth, what did you want to add? What
I
did you want
kind
to
of see it as like when you like in a case where you're passing judgment, that implies that there's probably already someone who you think is guilty, and you should like think of the other party as guilty, give them a chance.
Exactly.
And then like when the case is closed, like then you just like forgive everyone.
100%.
Like now we're dealing with it, and then like then we're gonna get on with it.
Great. I think that's such a great point. Yeah, what did you
I
want
was
to
gonna
say?
say something similar to that. Just like in the courtroom, like you're both guilty. Like you can like think, and like at the end of the day, you can like figure out who actually the guilty one is. But when you get home, like you're like, if you know them from the community, or like if you don't, like
Right.
everyone's innocent. Like whatever it is, like happened there. Now that we leave, like everyone's innocent, and like
Right.
it's two totally separate things. And like you should make sure not to like mix the two together.
Not to mix it too. Okay, I think that's a really important point to kind of like let it go once it's done. Yeah.
Also, in American court, innocent to proven guilty, like I just read, it's only in criminal courts.
Exactly.
Because only the accused is like thought to be innocent. But in a case where the two sides are both able to fight and they both have to be proved. Like,
Right.
You can't have both being innocent. It just doesn't make sense because then you wouldn't be arguing anything.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. Meaning in a civil case where there are two parties to it, there's no innocent until proven guilty. There's just trying to figure out the facts. 100%. I think that there's something that so we're not judges, right? Like I mean, we're not called upon to. Maybe some of you will be judges one day. I don't know, but the how could this apply to our own lives? Do you think our own personal interactions? Sylvia, what do you think?
I think it's saying, let's say, because let's say you're gossiping and like someone tells you, oh, this happened to these two people, this thing, so it's kind of just saying, yeah, but like now you heard both sides, you can have your opinions about them, let's say you meet those people later, don't just like don't go in, like, don't have an attitude towards them, like, oh, I know this about you, I know you did this and this, so now, like, I can't try to feel like I can't talk to you, or I can't make your own opinions and judgments about them.
Interesting.
Don't let it be based off something else.
Okay, that's really interesting. So be skeptical about the stories that you hear from one perspective about somebody else. Don't formulate your judgment based on that. Okay? Yeah.
I agree, and I also think it's just as simple as like there are two sides to every story.
Mm-hmm.
And just like
Yeah.
I think that like when you hear someone,
That's so true.
basically what Sylvia said, but
Yeah.
just like kind of like, there are two sides to every story, so like just remember that.
100%.
And like it's like the same thing goes with like
the kavzchut and 100%. Sarah, what do you want to say?
I'm just kind of confused on the last part
Mm-hmm.
of the, like, regard them both as innocent part.
Right. So this is interesting. Like, let's say there are litigants, right? And you decide that one of them is telling the truth and one of them is not, right? And you tell the person that they have to pay, right? Or maybe they're both telling the truth, but like, you judge that one person is obligated to do something that they didn't want to have to do and they were
So
fighting
if
it.
I pass the guilty law on the street, they'll be like, oh, you're a criminal, I can't be friends with you.
Well, I think it's that, and it's also the, like, let's say somebody in a civil case was ordered to pay something, right? And they weren't happy about it, but they paid it. They accepted the judgment. Now it's over,
What if they retaliate though? Then I still regard them. Like I was reading this
Okay.
side and it said like
Yeah. Right.
that Shimon had 80 women executed because he thought they were witches, and then their relatives retaliated
Right.
and falsely got his son accused.
Right. And that's terrible, right? Meaning then I don't think you have to say, oh, they're just perfect, right?
Right.
That, that was also a criminal case in that situation. It was a case of witchcraft where these women were judged to have been mechashafot, which is a capital crime, and meaning so therefore they were executed. Their relatives were angry with him as the head of the Beit Din in a completely inappropriate manner. You know what I'm saying? That was not a situation where after you kill them you view them as innocent. This is talking about like when there are two parties to a case and they're debating it. Yeah.
So this is an extreme case, but if someone retaliates, like, okay, I pay you because I damaged your car,
Right.
then the next day you come in and you damage my car.
Right. So then I don't think you
Get
have to.
back at me. They're no longer viewed as innocent.
Oh,
right?
no, that would be a new case where we would now prosecute them for that, 100%. I think this is trying to say, like, when you resolve a fight or an argument, and by the way, this is true. Like, let's say you and your roommate are, like, arguing over something, or your suite mate, or whatever, I don't know, or in college, or your siblings, or I don't know, whatever, right? Anybody that you might have, like, an argument with, and you argue, the future of your spouse, right? Like you figure, right? You wanted something one way, they want something the other way. You come to some kind of compromising conclusion, right? Maybe you gave in, maybe they gave in, maybe you both gave in a little bit. But now it's over, and like we're moving on. We're not going to like hold this grudge the whole time. If only, whatever. Right? I think that also is like something we could take to our lives, right? Sometimes we resolve a conflict, but we're kind of. And the resolution is a good one, but it's hard to let go of the other feelings that are there. And maybe this is trying to say, if it was really resolved, let's try to move on, right? Like you said, like Ruth said, right? Let's move forward from there. Dana, what did you want to say?
Oh, I was
Okay.
going to say basically from before when you said
Yeah.
like view them as innocent, but
Yeah.
this is referring to a case that's like a civil case and not like a criminal case. That
Right.
makes sense because if someone like maybe just the facts are mixed up, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're a bad
Right.
human being just because like this situation arose.
Exactly, 100%, 100%. And that also, right.
So
And
just like kind of keep it as fresh, and if something like happened again, you shouldn't, I guess, like base it on the fact that something happened before, which I think also applies to like regular relationships as well.
for sure,
Treat
100%.
every situation differently.